Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Beer Recap. Interesting how our breadth tool here now is empty and the reporting is empty. So Sjord has reported that he has flushed the database and he is making progress. We are closer than ever. One of these days I'll be talking off of this, and then I'm sure you'll be like, wow, this is invaluable information. But we got to get there first. Um, what can we talk about today? Tuesdays, we're on the other side of this crazy celestial event. You can already start to feel sort of the pressure, if you will, calming down in international capital markets. I don't know whether we can make any grand conclusions about the sickness unto itself. And Godspeed, best wishes for you and your family to get through this. Spend Tuesdays is a little bit of a quieter day. It's sort of a Brian rant day, so just basically took a peruse through the entire market, looking at all the breadth indicators, looking at some individual stocks, looking at different commodities, the whole kabang. And of course, did a big overview of Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum, and compared or previous halving event rallies and what we should expect heading into these events. Bitcoin had one, I think we figured back in 2016. And the market topped out about 20 or so days, 20, 25 days ahead of the event. Litecoin has had a couple halvings over the past few years. Same thing. Market rallies precipitously about a month or so ahead of the event, 20, 25 days, somewhere in there. And then about 3 weeks ahead of the actual halving event, things calm down. So what we're actually seeing in the Bitcoin price right now, I think is actually completely natural. And I think to a certain degree, the altcoin or cryptocurrency market in general is having money flowing towards it, not away from it. And I think this is actually really great market information for crypto enthusiasts, because whenever you get these big bailouts and sort of the U.S. government comes in and says, fine, we'll cut a check just to make sure that the lights stay on and you idiots over there in the capital markets don't go out of business. What's important for us to do is just to watch where that money goes, where, if the margin calls and stuff are abated, where does the money come back into the market the quickest? Because that's basically leadership. And heading down the road the next few cycles, well, not next few cycles, heading down the road through this next cycle, you're probably going to see more capital flowing into whatever the sectors are that get the money first. So, we have seen in the broader stock market, tech stocks, they broke out. In fact, you could argue the tech stocks were leading the charge off of the bottom. You can see that the S&P 500 has broken out here. It's interesting how we're not getting a lot of follow through on the gold. We did have, some short-term objectives suggesting that our inverted head and shoulders level here was going to be tested. But we're getting a bit of a pause here in the gold market today. That's interesting. You can also see, too, money did not flow into oil here the past couple days. You could argue oil's done nothing after gapping violently higher. So, when we go look at crypto, it pleases me immensely when we see these kind of violent rallies over the past couple days. It's just been fantastic to see. Because to me, it says that money is flowing into this sector, not out. Where the hell's that damn chart? I guess the three of them, I like to put them on here side by side for you guys. I don't know whether this is... these charts look messy. Anyway, boobity boo. Boobity boo and boobity boo. So you can see coming out of the weekend, money just piling into the three horsemen here. And, I've made that joke tongue in cheek. Why Litecoin down here at like 20, $30 when we know the cost of production is like 40, $50? Well, they sure corrected that quickly, eh? We had joked for quite a while that, and I even put a tweet out that the average cost of production for Ethereum was around 140, $150. Well, they've cleaned that up pretty quickly. And unfortunately, I still think right now that actually Bitcoin's trading at a premium to what it costs to produce it right now. But we'll see what happens. And as we said, about 20 to 25 days ahead of the official halving event, that's when we probably should see Bitcoin top out here. I mean, obviously, it's just a conjecture. Here was the 2016 halving event, pre-event rally window, and then this is the actual event. So this is basically the kind of price action that I'm going to be expecting over the next month. And, ahead of the event, this happened to be 22 bars. So, if we just pull up our fun little chart that we share with you guys, and really I should be talking off of that. If we go out to, if I'm not mistaken, in the daily brief today, everybody was sort of telling me that 13th now of May was when they're expecting the halving. So actually, this is a 4-hour chart, isn't it? This is going to get really messy, so just bear with me here. So that's out here, 13th. So 20 days ahead of that event. Let's just take our little date thing. Yeah, I'll say 25 days, something like that. So why don't we do 22? 22 is nice. Well, I don't get to 23. What the hell? Be generous. So I'm looking for this this sort of pre-halving rally peak to probably come in somewhere. In this case, 20th of April. I had sort of made reference to 17th of April before. That came up with some important numbers, and that's sort of what I'm thinking into that sort of middle to the end of April. And then also, too, April 17th happens to be a big options expiry date. And we've just mysteriously noticed that the CBOE has actually taken the options information for the 17th off of the website. That seems awfully suspicious. Because remember, I showed you previously the staggering open interest in the put options on the VIX index, which means that they got a lot of incentive to bring that market down. Actually, no, I suppose I've been humming and hawing about that VIX open interest. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but anyway. Okay, let's get back to sort of what we're supposed to be doing here. Sorry, everyone, off on crazy tangents here. Summary for you good people on YouTube. U.S. dollar index, sort of world hegemony, coming off here a bit, which to me kind of feels like risk on to a certain degree. Saw that the euro was catching a pretty good, nice bid here this morning. Obviously, stocks as risk-on proxies are feeling much better. I don't know whether the oil is really participating here or not. Of course, you know my thoughts on oil. I'm not really that interested in oil anymore. Interesting to see how the bonds have come back down in that little short-term bullish setup that we were thinking in the bonds. Basically, I don't think it's been stopped out yet, but it's underwater now. There it is. Yeah, so it hasn't been stopped out. Did not have its move stopped to scratch level hits, so it would be an outright loss if this thing did lose these lows. But we'll see what happens. It's just working away. Nothing really new to report there. Where's your chart? There it is. So, stock, and interestingly enough, 38.2s. It looks like the stocks are now resolving that 38.2 to the upside. So I think on balance, if you're just looking at the stock market, remember we talked about inverted head and shoulders off of this. I think, In the short term, we can start thinking about AB equals CDs, which means something like boobity boo to boobity boo. And as we said, the 17th, really big options expiry, and my hunch is into that 17th window. They want the market up top here, so all those puts expire worthless. And I suppose the calls on the VIX, they would expire worthless. But so risk on seems to be carrying the day. As we said there just a moment ago, you can clearly see the failure in the bonds. There's a nice 3-bar fractal there. But this little bullish flag is still working, so we'll see what happens. Gold, like the bonds and like yen, sort of risk off proxies coming back down to earth. I really do think that we have one hell of a war going on here in the gold market at this neckline, $1,700 an ounce. Is this a place for a new trade for me? No, absolutely not. Remember we had said we had this inverted empire and the Joby Gap target paint a target level into that area. So if anything now, all those lower time frame traders that took that setup, they took profits. And now the question ultimately is, this empire low now becomes your key support. We could basically bang around in this range for the next little while. And nice solid closes above this purple line. That's going to tell you that, hey, this inverted empire or head and shoulders is rocking and rolling, and away we go. So, there's nothing for me to do here on the gold. I'm not quite sure if Julian is still as long as he was. I'd hope for his sake that he took a little bit of profits, but we'll see what happens later on. Conversation, remember I said earlier we looked at the breadth of the market a lot in the daily brief today, and so I just wanted to illustrate to you one example of studying breadth and how it can sort of help you see bottoms in the market. This is the Russell 2000 versus the Dow. It's a simple spread. But in essence, think of this as sort of, if this asset is trending in the direction of Russell 2000, i.e. higher, then it means that people in the market are willing to take a risk and buy small cap stocks. If this is trending lower, then it means people want to get out of small cap stocks and into the relative safety of big cap stocks. So as you can see there in basically the end of February, early March, all hell broke loose and this thing started to collapse, which, it makes sense. A lot of small businesses are going to have to close up shop here and stuff. And really, until this thing actually starts Wing out in earnest, that's the general message. So as you can see, we opened up substantially lower here today. We are trying desperately to hold on to these lows, but I don't think we're going to see like a real serious bottom in the market until we actually start Wing out. And people start saying that, it's worth taking the risk to come in on these small cap stocks that are very sensitive to the economy. And obviously can leverage earnings, right? An increase of earnings from 1 penny to 2 pennies is hugely different than an increase of earnings from, say, $1.01 to $1.02. So for small cap stocks, they're extremely sensitive to the economy, and just the slightest difference in earnings and losses can make a huge difference to their balance sheets. So the point of the matter here, you should all look at this chart and you should say, well, looks like the economy's still in trouble. And I really don't think it's a good idea for us to get too crazy speculative on the long side until this stuff starts to firm up. Does that mean that there aren't opportunities to trade the market? No, doesn't mean that whatsoever. But I think that for the investors of the world, people that just want to buy and just nice and slowly and conservative, things like your RSP, registered accounts and stuff, I don't think you're going to see real growth out of the stock market until these kind of relationships start Wing out and making higher highs and higher lows. So, consider that a nice little edutainment module here today, how you can use spreads to tell you a little bit about the economy. A couple ideas that I'm very interested in, and of course, I told you recently about this CGIX. It's basically sitting right at the double bottom level. Some nice cheeky little gaps here. Might do some buying here. There was a hot, and these are total trades, speculative. The next one on the list I wanted to tell you about this hut in the crypto space, where I was really humming and hawing and worrying about this company because we were coming up against historically low levels. You can see how we broke through. We had this kilo at 76. I had gone in and bought some on this dip here against these lows here. But I really like the company, and basically I had said to the TRI community, I have, I think, about 500 shares on the books, not a hell of a lot of money. I was immensely pleased. They just came out with earnings. The earnings report was relatively well received, and now this thing has actually gone and W'd out off that original 90 level that I really liked. So I'm feeling much, much more comfortable about being in this trade. And I'm not going to add to it because this was my recent buy. But if we do get a nice pullback against these lows and I see inside bars, I might go and pick up a bit more. But I just wanted to report that I was immensely pleased to see that now we actually have W's working in some of these smaller crypto-related names. So that made me feel much, much better this morning. Heading on over to crypto in particular, and I see some of the crypto stocks are trying to bottom. This Hut's got a half decent W working. Novogratz' stock's trying to bottom. So there was a stock DPW that we were interested in a while ago. It took off. I can't remember the crypto story behind that one. But I suppose if we head on over to the corn in particular, trying to get this maximized, sorry. I don't think this story here has changed a heck of a lot over the past few days with you guys. If one had taken this bot setup, you can see that we've had moves stop to trailing levels now hit. 74.54. Maybe we haven't. I don't know. Let's see. Do we hit a high there? 74.69. All right. So at the very worst, if we did get any sort of M structure in here, then consider hopping off and booking a small profit. I don't see any reason why we can't work our way up into this original bot objective, Mountain Man levels. Also, too, I don't know whether I shared this with the public or not, but I've been following one chart in particular, this Bitcoin chart with a 3 drives pattern. So this is 3 steps, 127s, boom, boom, boom. And its target here on stamp 78.74. There's that Mountain Man level, 79.60. And also, too, there's a nice trend line off of the top up in that area. Again, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't go up here. Seems perfectly logical to me, and as you can see, it's sort of like, I think the market's getting sucked up into that event, into that level, beg your pardon. And sort of my general thinking here right now is, remember we did those crazy chaos levels off the bottom. There he is, way up there. There's that trend line off of those key lows and these key highs up in there. Believe it or not, I'm actually, like we see a lot of these kind of studies are suggesting stocks actually want to move back up top here. I think there's going to be a hell of a fight up here in this reload zone. So what I'm sort of suggesting right now to TRIers is we know that the halving event, and actually I guess we can put this now on the 13th, right, is somewhere in there. Do yourself a favor and go look back at the previous halvings. You'll know what I'm talking about when I say that the market tops out about 20-25 days ahead of that event. So if we just simply go boo and about 20 bars, something in that neighborhood, right? Somewhere around there. I don't see any reason why we can't work our way up. The question for me right now would be, do we rally up into these bot objectives, reload zones, and then top out and start working our way down? Or, can Bitcoin get some sort of insane face rip rally? It'd be great if we had a 1 day candle. Bitcoin's up, $1,000 in the candle. And of course, that gets all the public, oh, I gotta buy Bitcoin. And of course, they're walking into a trap, and then it works its way back down into the halving. So that's kind of the scenario that I've been sort of talking with TRI people about. This is sort of the path that I'm thinking we're heading down. The great part about this kind of market state, while Bitcoin's got the wind at its back, is that a lot of altcoins sure look sexy in here. I know there's a lot of people that hate altcoins, but nonetheless, we do have quite an interest at TRI in the altcoins, and I think there's money to be made here. So, this is a name recently put forth by Kevin. Hopefully you can see nice little W's coming in here. 50% rules. Looks like we're going to head back up top somewhere in this area here. So there's an idea for you. And then good old Chico Crypto's names like LinkedIn and the Tether, I think it's called. I don't know whether that's one of his, but hopefully everybody looks at this chart and goes, yeah, well, I can see the W's. It's not rocket science, Brian. And as you can see, nice little rally, and hats off to Mr. Kavarkanator. Being one of our shark OGs, he actually was in on the buy side, had stink bids working against these lows, was filled here, and now he's telling me, son of a bitch, he's getting ready to sell half on a double. Way to go, Kevin. Me personally, and especially with new people to trading, I think it's probably a little easier anxiety-wise just to wait for the W to come in. So you can see right now, if you just simply bought the W, oops, what the hell is that? That didn't work. Let's try that again. If you bought the W, is this going to work? No, it's not. Oh, wonderful. I have no idea what's going on here. Anyway, obviously that's not going to work. But if you bought the W, your risk basically is something like that. And I don't know, we can use 50% rules if you want. There's a 50% rule. So your reward is going to be something along those lines. And as I told you guys recently, your number one job as a trader is just try and make darn sure that green boxes are bigger than red boxes. As long as you can keep doing this, rinse and repeat over and over and over, green boxes bigger than red boxes, you're right more than 50% of the time, which is really just sort of like a flip of the coin. As long as green boxes are bigger than red boxes, you're going to make money from trading. If you can get up into 60-70% accuracy, green boxes bigger than red boxes, you're a very, very happy camper. And that's, the irony of it all. That's the secret to trading, folks. Okay, so I think we'll leave the free video at that. Hope you got some value out of my offering today. PMA for the win. Be careful on your gold up here. All the best, and bye for now.